So going on to the 2010 World Cup when you played New Zealand, and the result, what in terms of pressure, where did that actually? Who was taking all the pressure of that game? Where did it land in the group? What do you think?
Um,
Yeah, where do you, who absorbed all the pressure? Where was it lying with?
do you mean after the game,
No,
before the
yeah,
game, or both?
before the game and the build up to the game.
Yeah, I think definitely after the game, I felt a lot of that myself. I think actually, funny enough, that was something that the leadership team and Streety and Graham Smith looked at between 2010 and 2014 when they did win the World Cup, was to broaden that leadership team. And going into 2010, I wouldn't have said there was a leadership team. I was captain. Katie McLean, who played fly half, obviously a leadership position on the pitch, kind of took on that vice captain role. But other than that, that was it. That was kind of the leadership. So that's definitely something they changed. I think they were conscious that I did take a lot on my shoulders, and maybe ultimately that lack of wider leadership meant that we didn't win the game, and that should have made different decisions, or I should have made different decisions. Um, No, but we were in a good place leading into the 2010 World Cup. You know, we'd come off the back of a really, really strong 2009, or second half of 2009. We were feeling really confident. We went into that World Cup knowing we were going to win, and we didn't. You know, so I feel like any pressure we had before the game it felt spot on at the time, um, and it felt like fuel really, rather than pressure before the game that we were going to use. Probably for me, post game, I felt more pressure than I ever had done, and I don't think I dealt with it that well. You know, I can look back on it now. You know, right at the end of the game, I wanted to be with my teammates, but I was over at the edge of the pitch doing an interview with TV, which was possibly one of the hardest interviews I've ever done in my life. And then, you know, I was with my teammates for a little bit, and then they could go off and be with each other. I had to go to the press conference, which was, again, like, it was great. There were so many cameras in the room. It was great that the game developed, but right at that moment, I didn't want to be there. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, and then eventually I just wanted to see my family. Eventually I remember going in at the finals at the Stoop and Harlequins, and they were in the end of the big long bar there. And I just wanted to get to my family, and all these people just kept talking to me. And I was swimming against treacle, just trying to be with the people I wanted to be with. And then, you know, after that, I couldn't go home still. I had to do a piece for Sky, who had been a great followers of us. It was really important to do that, you know, and I had to sit and read all the headlines in the papers about how we'd lost the game, which was really hard. And then eventually I went home. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see anyone, because there was this weird conflict going on. There was kind of me, I was like, "We've just lost." I couldn't see beyond that. And then there were other people go, "You know, well done, you got the silver medal, like, isn't that great? The game's really grown." And I was like, "Oh, we just lost." And, you know, I felt a lot of the responsibility about my shoulders. I was treated it as well, Gary Street, and I found that really, really difficult. And then I've never watched the game back. I never could. Um, and I think partly, you know, when I reflect on it now and you've had time, you know, I retired the following year, and I think, you know, I said I wanted to retire on my own times, but I think really I knew that I struggled with that kind of high performance reflection at that point, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to watch the game. I didn't want to see where it didn't go right. And I'm like, you know, I can't go on to the next World Cup if you know, if I'm feeling like that in a way. And that's only something I've really kind of addressed recently. Um, and I've still never watched it. I still never watched the final, and I probably never will. Um, but yeah, I felt a lot of the pressure, but as a, you know, as a collective, as an England squad, as an England team and England management, that was something they looked at particularly, the kind of the broadening the leadership team, which ultimately was the right decision.